Yeah, I visited him a few times during the trial, and he was in bed, and his children, who he was keeping away from, the courtroom and, what the process was really about. But they were children. They clearly knew something was wrong with daddy, something was bothering him. And I would be there, and he would be in his bed just exhausted. He couldn't even move. I think that he had bouts of just utter terror. I don't know how to explain it otherwise. That, as I said before, he was a sensitive soul, not built for this process.
Pressure was immense. I really, it really, it was significant, and that's kind of like an understatement. It's kind of hard to even imagine the pressure. I saw him break down several times on the way to court. I saw him break down several times just when he shouldn't be breaking down, and I mean emotionally, with tears and crying and fear. It just took its toll. You could just tell he was a broken man. In spite of his wealth, in spite of his celebrity, he was just a broken man, and he tried not to, have those kind of breakdowns in front of children. But you'd be surprised. Michael and I, we had private moments, and sometimes he would just call me, and at weird hours too. Like, Kerry, you awake? Like, no, I wasn't. But what's going on? Well, I need you to meet me over here. So we'd go for a ride at Neverland, and it was just a thing where I would just try to encourage him and edify him and uplift his spirit. And I would always tell him, man, you are an example of strength. I don't know if I could go through all of this. And it was like therapeutic, because it was so much pressure. He was breaking down physically, mentally, emotionally. It was very tough on him. And he actually got sick several times. What's amazing about that, when you're legitimately sick, this guy's, he's diaphoretic, he's perspiring, he's vomiting, and we got to be in court in 10 minutes. Well, because of my route survey, I know where the hospital is. We're going to the hospital.
Yeah.
And you get to the hospital and the judge tells you, no, you better bring him to court. Like, you got to be kidding me. This guy is sick. Well, if he's sick, we have an infirmary here. It's like, oh my God. Now I got to go and tell him, you can't be sick. You can't throw up. It's like, are you kidding me?
It's amazing.
And, oh, man, you have no idea. And then, he's still a single parent. Yeah, he had staff at the place, but a single, the staff, they go home. And you're a daddy. Michael was a dad. At the wee hours when it's time for the staff to go home, he's a dad. He's cooking, he's changing diapers, and he's doing, serving dessert and stuff. He's a regular person, and that took immense. You talk about the pressure.
It was 1 week before the verdict, and it was a few days before closing argument. Michael looked at me and said, "This is, before, we even found out what, he was going to be acquitted of all charges." He looked at me and said, "Susie," he used to call me Susie all the time. Remember, we're spending 10, 12 hours a day, 5 months, 5 days a week. And he said, "Susie, I just want to tell you how grateful I am to God and to my family for having found you and Tom. That was the best thing that ever happened to me. I just want to thank you so much for everything you've done." So I'll never forget that.
Oh, just to relax with my children.
Hi, hold on, Michael.
Okay.
I'll never forget the time that I notified him and told him that the verdict was in. That was it was a sad time, because his children were in there and they were quite upset. And Grace, one of his assistants, she had to kind of get the kids out. And then I just will never forget the look on his face, and I can imagine the pressure on Michael at the time, because at the time he didn't know what was going on. I was trying to instill in him that God is going to get you through this and you're going to be okay. But that day that when I went up to his room and told him that, I've got a call from the judge and we got to get back to court, and I'll never forget that look on his face.
I wanted him to wear a bulletproof vest because of the threat level that was on, and I put that vest on him, and it wasn't good. But we finally were en route to court, and that was an emotional day.
This is 85 prosecution witnesses, 65-day-long prosecution case, and we saw there's Michael Jackson and his family as he's leaving the courtroom with almost a shocked look on his face, Michelle.
Can you imagine the sense of relief that he is feeling right now after sitting on pins and needles for 7 very long days for Michael Jackson as that jury deliberated? He had been hospitalized a couple of times at night, had gone to the hospital for back problems. He's had a lot of health problems throughout this trial, most notably the day he arrived in pajamas. So he's got to be feeling a heck of a lot better now, knowing that he is a free man. He is now leaving the courtroom and going outside. We will wait to see if he's going to approach a podium of some sort. I don't know if there's an area set up where they're going to be giving press conferences or if the media is just going to try to talk to him while he walks. But there he is now, leaving the courtroom, waving to the fans.
And you can hear the screaming going on right now. Quite clearly, he's going to get back into his motorcade. Apparently, no statement yet from Jackson, at least not from the courthouse. Perhaps that will come later on. Perhaps Tom Mesereau will speak on his behalf in the meantime. But Jackson, not even smiling, but almost a shocked look on his face as he leaves the courtroom, absolutely, without a doubt, relieved with the way this thing has happened, and it could have gone better for him.
And then, of course, the verdicts get read, and I hug Michael, and I hug our team members, and we come out of the courthouse triumphant, and the fans are going crazy.
But Michael was in a state of shock. I still don't believe that he really realized what was happening, because he was so emotionally, physically, and mentally messed up. It was just not a good day. I think he was just going through the motions. But it's like when somebody, guts you, they cut your extremities off, and they say, okay, you're free. So you're still numb, from that 6 months of what went down, that mental conditioning that they did. It really impacted him. And it wasn't celebratory. You see some of us embracing each other, some of the security guys, because we were just so happy that that part turned out and that he didn't get assassinated, as the guy said he was going to do, walking from the court.
I skipped a press conference. I felt it was really more important that I be at Neverland with Michael and his family. So I didn't go to the press conference. Went to Neverland. Michael was just, he was exhausted. He was just, he had trouble even walking. His children hugged me, family hugged me, and he was so relieved, but battered, as I said before. I think emotionally and physically really battered by the process, but still relieved. The feeling at Neverland was not it was not a celebratory feeling. It was not like, let's party. It was just, oh my God, thank God it's over, and a feeling of gratitude. Gratitude to God, gratitude to the people who stood by him when many people deserted him, gratitude to his defense team.
In addition to 70 sheriffs who went out to get Michael, the amount of evidence we had in this case was bigger than any huge federal case you can even get. And for us, handling Michael's case was handling like 100 cases all at once. Documentary evidence, audio, video, and the live witnesses. We prepared for over 500 witnesses in that case. It was really, really monumental. And that's what it took for the entire Santa Barbara County to go after Michael. And they only proved that they were wrong and they were outrageous in going after somebody as innocent as Michael. And one thing I have to say about Michael, and I'll end quickly, is that, quite frankly, no question he was a big name and still is. Superstar, yes. Who's bigger than Michael? No question. Who's more talented and gifted than Michael? Probably nobody. But you know why he was so special? Aside from all that, underneath it all, he was so decent. And so modest and humble. And a lot of celebrities you come across, They suffer from narcissism. They think they're entitled to everything. Well, there are a lot of people, not just celebrities, but people with money, fame, or perceived money and fame. It's unfortunate people are that way, but, you know, I wouldn't be sitting here and talking to you if Michael was a horrible person. Who cares if he was famous and big, if he was a jerk, not a nice person? But he really was a really, really nice, decent person.